Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. This is a special bonus episode of the Reconnection Club podcast. I'm recording this on Monday, March 23rd, 2020, in response to questions from parents about whether to contact an estranged adult child during the COVID-19 outbreak. Wherever you are right now, I hope you're able to take reasonable precautions to stay calm and healthy and protected until the crisis has passed. One of our Reconnection Club members posted in our general discussion forum last week asking, because of this health crisis that we're facing, should she reach out to her child despite having been asked for no contact? And I recommend that you read that thread because in addition to my own comments that I left there, a lot of other people responded talking about what they're saying to their children and whether they're hearing back from them. And it's clear that many parents are dealing with this right now and have good suggestions for coping and thriving as best you can. So log in at reconnectionclub.com and go to the general discussion forum. The post is called To Reach Out or Not, and you can read the entire thread there. I'll also link to that thread in the show notes, which you can find at reconnectionclub.com/bonus1. And again, that post was called To Reach Out or Not. But today I want to share with you the basics of what I posted in that thread in the interest of providing some input into this emotional and confusing question of whether and how to reach out to an estranged adult child who may have asked for distance before this whole thing started. Under normal circumstances, I'm pretty narrow in my approach to responding to most requests for no contact. With a few exceptions, I believe it's generally a good idea for parents to try to respect those requests consistently under ordinary circumstances. But these are not ordinary circumstances, not even close. We're experiencing a global crisis, and life as we knew it has become life as it unfolds day by day. None of us has ever seen a pandemic like this in our lifetimes. It is unprecedented. So there's nothing normal about what's going on in our lives right now, and that's true for your adult children too. And if it isn't, it soon will be, I dare say. Considering the seriousness of the situation, I cannot, in good conscience, tell anyone that they shouldn't reach out to someone they might be concerned about, especially your own child or children. So if you're thinking of reaching out to an adult child who's estranged from you, I'll talk about how you might do that effectively. If you've already contacted your child during this crisis, you may or may not have gotten a response, and I'll talk about that too. And by the way, if you don't feel the need to contact your child right now, I urge you to give yourself permission not to feel guilty or weird about that, but just to experience whatever other feelings come up for you and treat yourself and your feelings with compassion. If you haven't heard from your adult child during this crisis, you're not alone. Many of the parents I've spoken with have not had spontaneous contact from their children at this point. And if you feel hurt by that, or even a bit resentful toward your child because they haven't checked in, I get it. I do understand where you're coming from if you're wondering why your child isn't checking in. At the same time, I want to caution you against jumping to conclusions about what that means. It does seem clear from reports in the media that younger people, on the whole, have not taken COVID-19 as seriously as the rest of us so far. But I believe they will start to realize the gravity of the situation as it continues to unfold. But as of today, if you haven't heard from your child, please don't interpret that as a sign that she doesn't care about you. She may be genuinely unaware of the magnitude of this thing. Or she may be thinking about you a lot, but simply doesn't know what to say given the state of your relationship currently. Or if he's working in essential services like healthcare or food distribution, he might assume you know that he's extremely busy, and maybe he'd appreciate a word about that from you with a no reply needed at the end. There are many factors that go into an estranged person's lack of contact besides just how much they care about you. So really try not to take it too much to heart or too personally if you haven't heard from your child. If you're planning to contact your child, but you're nervous because your contact hasn't been welcome lately, here's what I suggest. And I'll break it into 3 points. Number 1, keep it short. I'm talking 1 sentence, maybe 2 at the outside. Here's what I mean. Thinking of you during this terrible crisis, please stay safe. That's an example. All you're doing is just letting your child know that you're thinking about her because of the pandemic. If you've ever been accused of not caring enough or being neglectful, you will want to do this for sure. But keep it super brief. The shorter your message is, the easier it is for your child to respond if she's at all inclined. So that's number 1, is keep it super duper short. Number 2, avoid asking questions. This seems crazy. Of course you would love to get some information right now, but if your child wants to respond to your check-in, you will get the information that he wants you to have. Just by sending him a brief note, you're indicating that you're interested in his status. He knows you are. If he's not inclined to respond to a check-in at all, then by asking a question, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. With an estranged adult child, asking a question doesn't make it more likely that you will get information, and it may often make it less likely. So that's number 2. I know it's hard, but try to avoid asking questions. Number 3, don't send prayers to your child unless you know she will appreciate hearing that. Sending prayers to an atheist is just asking for her not to respond. Of course, you can pray for your child in the privacy of your heart or with others who share your faith, but sending prayers to those who don't appreciate them sometimes creates unnecessary friction and discourages contact. So number 3 is send prayers only if your child will appreciate them. Several of our Reconnection Club members have sent short notes to their adult children who are estranged, and some have received immediate and positive responses. Others haven't received anything yet. One thing that commonly did happen to at least one of our members. She reached out to her child. The child responded right away with a friendly and quite newsy reply. And so this parent naturally thought, oh, well, it looks like the door is kind of open. So she wrote back and asked quite an inoffensive, non-intrusive question. And that was it. She got no response, and the conversation was clearly over. So what happened there? Well, her adult child was apparently happy enough to have an exchange about the current crisis, but that's all she was up for. Checking in is one thing, especially in a situation like we're seeing right now. But resuming the relationship apparently is still not on this child's agenda at this time. It's confusing, for sure, and painful. But just because your child opens the door a crack doesn't mean she's putting out a welcome mat. An open door is a very good development all by itself, but during estrangement, it's not usually the invitation that it looks like. It's a door that's open so that your child can look out, not so that you can walk in. And it hurts like heck to learn this the hard way. But it means that if you want your child to get more comfortable with back and forth contact over time, then continuing any particular conversation during the estrangement should probably be your child's idea. Give her the last word every time there's an exchange. If she doesn't ask you anything, then it may be that no further response is needed from you. It's unnatural, it's difficult, but that seems to be how it works during estrangement. So don't take it personally if things seem to be going great and then suddenly the door slams shut again. This happens all the time. It is not personal. And it's not your child exhibiting erratic behavior. It's just you're bumping up against an invisible boundary that's still there despite a temporary thaw. If you wrote to your child about the COVID-19 outbreak and he hasn't responded at all, again, please don't take that as a lack of caring. With estranged adult children, there's usually ambivalence at best around contact, no matter what the circumstances. And if, when you reached out, you did ask a question or two that your child didn't want to answer for whatever reason, that could be why you're not hearing back. He doesn't want to engage with those questions. The next time you reach out, just offer your good wishes for his health and safety. Leave the questions out, and you'll find out if there's anything he wants to offer in return. But if you just wrote to him within the past week or so, I wouldn't write again immediately. I would wait until something changes before trying again. So to sum up the points I made, if you write to your child, keep it ridiculously short and don't ask questions. If your child writes back, give him the last word and don't attempt to keep a dialogue going. If he wants to continue communing with you, great, he can easily make that happen. If your child doesn't write back at all, remember it does not mean she doesn't care about you. There are many factors that influence your child's behavior, and most have nothing to do with you. And if you don't feel like reaching out to your estranged child right now, you are allowed not to. When your child decided to step away from your relationship, she had to give up any expectation of hearing from you. You're not breaking any rules by not reaching out right now if you don't feel like it. No matter what the details of the estrangement from your child or children, I am so sorry that you have to deal with this question of contact in the midst of such a frightening and disruptive global situation. I hope this episode will provide you with at least a modicum of relief from confusion and doubt. As you may know, stress is not good for the immune system. So please make a conscious effort to reduce your stress right now as much as you possibly can. If it stresses you out to watch the news, maybe reduce your news consumption. If it stresses you out to think about your child right now, actively think about something a little bit more soothing more of the time. For myself, I will be staying at home as much as possible for the next few months, concentrating on continuing to support estranged parents around the world. The Reconnection Club will remain open for business, and I will still hold telephone office hours. The next one, I think, is coming up on Friday, April 3rd, so I hope to see you on that call. I'll also continue to offer personal services by distance. That is therapy for people in Colorado and Oregon, and short-term private consultation for people elsewhere. Finally, of course, I intend to keep recording podcast episodes and releasing them weekly, so look for a new episode every Monday in your podcast player. I won't be talking about COVID-19 on the regular weekly episodes. It's not a current events show, but if I have something specific to say about it, I will produce another episode like this one. And you can find all of the shows at reconnectionclub.com/podcast. Until next time, remember that COVID-19 is highly transmissible. So please protect yourself and others by staying home as much as possible over the coming weeks and months. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out ReconnectionClub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at ReconnectionClub.com.